Good evening, and welcome to another episode of the 2 Minute Warning. I am Perry Busby. I'm with my co-host, Mr. Bobby Henry, the publisher of the West Side Gazette.
Good
Good
evening.
evening, Bobby. How you
What's
doing?
happening, Perry? How you doing, bro?
Man, I'm doing good.
Yeah. Hey, man, we got another great episode, another evening to discuss some things as it pertains to uh, three strikes and you out. So
Right.
uh, uh, I know I'm coming from a different setting. I'm not familiar with the sound. Is it sounding okay?
No, you're sounding okay. I mean,
Okay.
it's different, but we can work with it.
Okay. Very well. Very well. So, what's been happening, man?
Man, just catching up with all of the stuff around the election and all of the news. As it relates to the final few seconds of this 2 minute warning.
Wow, man, that's last week. Last week we had a doozy. That was pretty good. Yeah, it was very exciting. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm. So, what are you
yeah.
hearing, Barry?
I got some good feedback from it, and it was a great discussion
Mm-hmm.
and a timely discussion.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was a great entryway into some of the discussions that we're going to have today and even next week. So I'm excited
Yeah, yeah.
as we dig down into this discussion about voting.
And the more we dig, the more I learn. Voting again is just not blacking in that bubble. There's some stuff that happens
Right,
before, during, and after. So,
right,
and it involves a whole lot of people that sometimes we have a tendency to perhaps overlook or take them for
right.
granted. And so
Yeah,
yeah, everybody has a voice. And
yeah. And in fact, I was reading today. The New York Times did an article that since May, some 8 million people have slipped into poverty.
mm,
And once you get to uh, that part of society, it's hard to maintain some of the normal communications.
yeah, man, I also read an article. It was talking about the homeless vote. It says as
Right,
few as 1 in 10 people, homeless people, vote in elections. Yeah, that's one in
wow,
10, man. It's some barriers that we don't even think about. Um,
right,
and it goes back when you had to be white and a landowner to vote, and
right,
some of that stuff has carried over. But still, there are parameters that some places, if you don't have an address, if you haven't lived in this place for a while, or you can't prove you got an electric bill or some physical place to live, you can't vote.
right,
Yeah.
right. And honestly, a lot of these people are hiding in plain sight.
Hiding in plain sight. Mhm.
Um, because it takes a lot to admit that you don't have proper shelter.
Hmm.
I mean, just think about it. If you're a parent and you can't provide housing, society tends to look down on you.
Mhm.
When in fact we know that there are some children who have excelled and families who have excelled, and we all try to look at that and say, "Oh, wow, that's great." But there's millions more who are left behind,
Mhm.
and they're right there in front of us.
Yeah. When you said that, Perry, Corey Bush comes to mind. The sister from
Hmm.
Ferguson, Missouri, that she beat out. I think his name was Representative Clay, who had a
Right,
dynasty of staying elected in Ferguson, Missouri. And this sister, who was homeless at one point,
right,
Corey Bush, came out and she beat him. So she's now the representative of Ferguson,
right.
Missouri.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I mean,
yeah, yeah. And if we're not careful, if this election does not turn out the way that the polls are showing, and that's a whole nother topic about polls.
Yeah.
Uh, but if it doesn't, I I think that door is going to get wider in terms of the number of people slipping
Hmm.
uh, after this election is over.
Okay.
And so these are dire times, and again, this is why we're having this 2 minute warning conversations.
Yeah. Well, that's a good segue to step into our show. If I could,
Yeah.
more than 500,000 Americans that are homeless. They live in 9 states, and Florida is one of them. Now, the couple that I'm about to introduce, I had the privilege of meeting them on an occasion where our church, the New Mount Olive Baptist Church, was doing a feeding program. And this brother and this sister, I had a conversation with them, and it was so heartwarming and so enlightening. Something as simple as relieving oneself stayed on my mind from the first time that I met these two individuals. And James Miller is the husband, and Kimberly Miller is his wife. They're not originally from here, but they come to Florida by way of North Carolina, and they'll tell you their story themselves. They're not ones to run from adversities. They try their best to be as quote unquote as, I don't want to say normal, but blend in with society as well as they could. So we're going to have James and Kimberly Miller on the program to talk about their situation and how it has affected them and affects them when it comes to voting. Okay. Who's the other guest, Kim? I mean,
Hey James and Kim, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Just fine, just fine. And our third guest for tonight is Miss Rachel Johnson. And one thing I love about Rachel is she starts out with whoever she is. She first says she's a mother above
mhm.
all, mother and a grandmother, and that says a lot before we get to the whole resume. She said, "I need everybody to understand that." Uh, but Rachel has started a Facebook group called Faces of HUD Housing, uh, and she started it to help prevent the loss of housing and evictions that are happening here, uh, really at a rapid pace now, and trying to help people understand how to maneuver and navigate through the system, because this system that's not designed to uh, really look favorable upon those who are in need. She's also the CEO of a nonprofit called Helping Others Make Everything Right. Um, she's a Broward native, Nova High School alumni, and she says she just wants to give thanks to her mother and Miss Carolyn Homer, and a childhood friend, Miss in Lee Terrace, um, off of C Strunk. So without further ado, Rachel Johnson.
Hi, everybody. Hello, everybody.
Hi, Rachel.
Hello.
Hi, Bobby.
What's happening, Rachel?
Uh, everything, right?
I
We
know,
got
I know,
everything
I know.
coming up.
Yeah, yeah, I know. You've been in a battle over on the West Coast, but that's yeah, yeah.
Right,
Yeah,
Mhm,
right.
mhm. So,
yeah.
well, okay, well, let's get right into this, and let's start with Kim and James. What are some of the obstacles? Give us a little bit of your background, your background, and so we can segue out to this.
Well, honestly, as for me, I come from a very bad hard background because I went through something very devastating at a young age. I seen my dad kill my mom, shot her with a 12 gauge shotgun at the age of 8. And I had to live with that right there. And my baby brother was born November 11th, 1971. My mama died January the 3rd, 1972. My baby brother didn't get a chance to know this beautiful woman that brought us on this planet. So he was less than 2 months old when she got killed. And as fate would have it, when my brother was 17 years old, he was a 6'4" basketball star in North Carolina. He was running down the basketball court in a non high school game, just playing recreation basketball. Fell down and had a massive heart attack and died in the gym in front of a gym full of people.
Mm.
So I lost my mama, I lost my baby brother. And I didn't tell you the story of my grandmother, which stayed a block away. My grandmother found out that her baby daughter had been murdered. She had a massive heart attack to the extreme that she couldn't even go to my mama's funeral, and she would soon die thereafter. So I had came out of a kind of rough beginning, and but God has always been there. I come from a God-fearing family, so I would come from a small town in North Carolina. You ain't gonna get no psychological care. Ain't a whole lot of. You got to figure out a way to deal with it, and you got to bring the Lord into it. So that's what happened with me. I was just blessed to be in a God-fearing family, and that what really brought me through most of my situations. But as I became older, I became more rebellious because I didn't have a mother like my friends did, and I didn't have a father like they did. So it started to wear on me over the course of time that we're not the same. You got a mother. When Mother's Day comes, you can say Happy Mother's Day. When Father's Day comes, you can say Happy Father's Day. But I didn't have them options, so I started become more rebellious to authoritarian figures. Anybody that was in a position of authority, I had a problem with them because the people that should have been there in authority of me was not in my life no more. My dad was gone. My mom was gone. My grandma was gone. So a lot of stuff I had to learn on the fly out here in the street, and it was kind of hard. And I took it the hard way because I didn't want to listen to people that really knew what they was talking about, like my granddad, my grandfather, and my aunts and them. I wouldn't listen to them because I didn't want to listen to nobody at that time. And I had to learn a lot of hard lessons along the way. So I'm still continuing to put my trust in the Lord, and that's what how me and my wife live our life to this day. You know, man can come up with every scenario, and this is something that I talked to Mr. Henry about earlier. Listen, if we don't do nothing else, and I think this is not a good topic for us to be. For me, I'm telling you how I personally feel that if this should have been something that we talked about last summer about the plight of the homeless and the homeless vote, definitely the homeless vote, and it's a very valuable vote that is not going to be counted, it's not going to be validated, and this is something that we should do as a country, United States of America. Every vote should be validated by the United States government, not, you shouldn't have to call them. The United States government should call you and say, your vote counted. We got it right here on record. Every citizen in the
Every
United
single.
States. That's my
Every
platform
citizen,
right now.
right, right. Every
Okay.
citizen.
Mhm. Okay. Kim, you
My background, I come from upstate Detroit, Michigan. I went through a lot of stuff personally in my childhood and stuff. I went through a domestic violence situation. And so through those kind of things that I went through, it caused me to go through a little bit of psychological stuff for myself. However, with that said, even in this time as me and my husband are going through, um, I've been able to be able to still function because God has blessed me with some tools that is able to help me and my husband in our situation, whereas other people they will not be able to do such because homelessness is so many different dynamics to it, and there are homeless people that are at different sets of places. Some homeless people are functioning, some other people are laying in it, others may be just coming into it. So, I think the ways that have helped me and my husband is me being graduated, college degree and stuff like that. That has helped us in this time to be able to navigate to vote, to be able to set things together so that we can vote, so we can be part of and active within the community. I think the problem with that where we dealing with homelessness is where they don't feel that they're included. You want their vote, you want them to get out there and vote, but they don't feel like they're included because no candidate is talking about them right now. They're not saying, okay, they want your vote, but they're not saying what is it that we can try to offer or help you with and assist you with. And then you have a lot of agencies and programs now that are going out, and the homeless people don't really trust good, so they're going out, they're finding out their information have been navigated, have been stolen, things of that nature. So it's just a lot of different dynamics too.
Okay. Okay. That's some good points. Perry, we talked before, we're going to come to you, Rachel, but we talked about the census is going on. The census is going on right now, you know.
Right.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
so
yeah. And in fact, today is the deadline.
The deadline,
And
yes,
so
because the Supreme
we're
Court overturned.
mhm.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
because
so
they wanted to do it till the end of the month.
right, right. And so even though the deadline is tonight and they're saying online, if you're homeless, that's a big requirement
But
uh,
see, you got
to
to
even get
understand. Let me tell you.
access to those sorts of deals.
I'll tell you something
Hold on,
about it.
hold on for a minute, James. Hold on for 1 minute. We
Yeah.
got to let Rachel come on here too. Now we're gonna come
No,
back
you
to you.
gotta let, yeah, we
Okay,
gotta
Yeah,
let
okay.
we
Michelle
gotta let Rachel
Johnson.
come
We
in
gotta let
too.
Miss Johnson speak too.
Okay.
Mhm.
So my background is, I grew up in LA Lee Terrace off of Sistrunk in the city of Fort Lauderdale in the projects, multifamily project based Section 8, and, in an abusive home. And at the same time, domestic violence happening to my mom, at the hands of our stepfather. And so housing was stable for me inside of the projects. It's like they always say, a village raises a village. I mean,
Yes.
Yes.
so that's what happened within. We had lots of mothers in that area that helped raise, but we had a stable environment in having a roof over our head.
Right.
And
Yes.
so and growing up and still living in housing and getting out on my own, I ended up in the same type of projects called Mount Olive Apartments down the street. My first home, I received a 3-day notice because my income decreased, and I received a notice to pay my rent or leave, and I up and I left because I didn't know my rights. And then along the way, I obtained a Section 8 voucher and had some struggles with that. And still, it's hard, even though people think that you're in low income housing, it's still hard because the rent is too damn high.
Right.
Right.
So,
Right.
and
Right.
so we have to, and so those are some of the things, my background. And my mother was my first teacher to organizing in the projects. And so I didn't think that I was going to be in this area of work. Became a AmeriCorps Vista volunteer of legal aid services. And that's where I started organizing tenant councils and finding that lots of people were having trouble living in housing, not educated about their rights and responsibilities. When something of an emergency happens in the household, that places you out on the street. It doesn't matter whether you have an education level of a degree or anything.
That's right.
Things happen and
That's
place
right.
you in homeless and displaced situations. Homelessness, like everybody has a different definition of homelessness, right?
Yeah.
But Homeless could be you're sleeping from couch to couch. You know, it could mean you can be on the street. It can mean that, you know, you're about to be evicted. Like this is going through your mind the whole time you're not able to pay. So that brings
Right.
stress. So, you know, so all of those things, that's my background. And like I said, my mom was my first teacher, and we created Helping Others Make Everything Right. And that's her last name, Homer. And this is about the business of God. It's like a ministry for me. You know, I've done this for free for years. So
Yes.
it's not about the money. It's not about anything else. It's about
Absolutely.
reaching people for helping people because it traumatizes kids as well.
Yes.
Right.
Amen.
Well, yeah. So in terms of voting, and all of you have said that they want you to vote, but just in the actual interaction, how does that interaction take place? I mean, we'll talk about this election. Has any campaigns interacted with you locally or nationally?
Mhm.
Well,
With
if I
us,
can go ahead and say, I
I
work
mean,
for New
have they
Florida
made an
Majority.
attempt to just reach out to you? And I don't mean a flyer. Have you heard from people from their campaigns or from anyone representing them?
Well, I work with New Florida Majority, the voters registration team. So I am in and around that environment of reaching out and going door to door in that essence. So we have these different meetings with different representatives and things of that sort. But we also battle against those representatives who, like in the counties, the cities, who are not paying attention to what's happening, like in the midst of COVID right now. You know, people are out on the street and they're saying that they provided funding to provide housing, emergency housing, and then some case management to help them get permanent housing. But that's not happening. So the politicians aren't doing what they need to do. And so what I'm telling people is, you know, some people tell me, well, I'm not going to vote because they're going to continue to do whatever they want to do. Well, guess what? Voting is your voice. Voting is how you make a change, especially when you see people out and about, the politicians or whoever that is empowered to make those decisions, not
Right.
doing it.
Well, but then we have to ask then the people who can make change, uh, do they know you exist? I mean, one you can only respond to what you see. So are we saying that our politicians don't see us, or or what?
Mhm. Mhm. James, have you spoken to a politician? Has one come on the? I mean, uh,
I'm thinking that the politician, when you as a politician, as you are politicking, you make a lot of grand promises of things that you're gonna do. But then your litany list becomes so long, you're not able to fulfill all that's on that list. So you go to what you feel is your top priority, which not would not be the plight of the homeless. That
mhm,
will fall to the bottom of the list. You would try to do what you could do for your constituents that you do business with, who's got a special interest in what's going on, but then it tumbles the homeless person down to the bottom of the list. Not saying that we're forgotten because there's a lot of good people that come out and go all out of their way to make sure we're fed and treat us with good hearts, godly hearts. But when it comes down to it, the politicians do not fulfill their promises, and it devalues the vote of the homeless. They feel like their vote don't have no meaning, so it's not important as you feel because you get to look at the news every day and see the problems of the world that's going on, but they out there trying to survive every day. And you ask them to look at their vote the same way you look at your vote, it will never happen.
okay, okay. James, I want you to slide over a little bit because I want people to see your
Right.
face. You went the wrong way. Come
You
back.
want me to slide
The
out
other
the
way.
picture?
Come on, come over
Right,
more.
right.
No, 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 because you said James, come on over some more. You saying
The other way, James. The other way. The other way.
Go,
The
yeah,
other way.
come toward Kim. Come toward Kim.
State James, come over to your left a little more.
I need to come to the
To
left.
your
This
left,
is my
to your
left.
left.
I need to come to the left.
Yeah. Come on to your left some more. Don't be scared. You can
Okay, this is as far as I can go.
James, I need you to stay right there when you're talking.
Yeah.
Okay? I need you to stay right there so we can see your face. You're saying some good stuff. Okay. So now Rachel, let me ask you this question. You battle government, if you will. You're up in the housing. How difficult is it for you when it comes to getting people to understand? Well, getting people to understand how important it is to vote and to vote. How are you doing that, Rachel?
Okay, first I want to say I'm not battling the government. I am trying to work with the government on providing the resources that are needed for the people, right?
Right.
And the work that I do exposes the wrongs that are being done, the errors that are being made, things of that sort, the mistakes. And it exposes
Made by who? Politicians?
the politicians, whoever makes those decisions when it comes to housing the people. It could be an agency,
It's
it
very
could
important,
be the
yes.
county commissioners, it could be the city commissioners, it could be the housing authorities, the
It could be
president,
the
the
people they even put in charge.
Dr. Carson, all of the above, the people who make the decisions for housing.
See,
And so
go. I gotta learn to be quiet. Go.
okay, and so it exposes the errors that they make. See, people who live these situations can tell you better about what they experience. People who don't live this can only tell you what somebody goes through.
Yes.
But they don't hear the details. They don't see the details of everything that people are going through out on the street or going from couch to couch. Because those
Yes.
details aren't really told unless it's forums like this that help us do this.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
And so when I'm gonna give you an example, we went to the county, Broward County. We went to the commissioners. New Florida Majority scheduled a meeting to go speak to them. The county governmental center was closed, right? But they invited us there. We ended up getting our tags, going upstairs, sitting there waiting 20, 30 minutes on the commissioners to come out to have that conversation that we had already set up an appointment for. They
Yes.
didn't come out.
Exactly.
So the thing of it is that then that becomes the battle. So then Rachel looks like I'm the problem because first of all, I'm missing work, 1 hour of work. I'm not getting paid to come there to speak for the people who are homeless or displaced or living in housing, right? And that's everybody. We're not just talking about low-income housing. We're talking about anybody who rents, because two paying households still can't pay the rent. Okay.
Right.
So when you go to speak to them, and this total disrespect when they don't come out.
Yes.
So I immediately grabbed the paper and I'm screaming what I had to come to say quietly in front of you. So it's a total disrespect. So these representatives, they make you sit out here. They may have you waiting forever and ever. But if something came up and a popular artist or somebody came along and they're going to put them in the limelight, now they can find time for that. But you can't find time for the people that you're supposed to be serving. That's the problem.
Let me say this. So what I'm trying to convey is that, okay, here we have these people that's supposed to have our best interests at heart. But here we are, we can't vote because we're so inundated with other stuff. So now you have a people in need, but they can't vote. And the politicians, as James said, prioritize what they do. So on that list, you're now at the bottom. So my thing is, how do we convince the people who are being overlooked that this voting is their way to vote these jerks out of position? And so you understand where I'm trying to go with this?
Yeah, okay, now I see. So for me, It has. We've been with New Florida Majority. I work there, but at the same time, I'm an independent contractor. I do this anyway. I knock on doors. So when I talk to people who say it's not important for me to vote because they're not going my way anyway, well, I tell them the local offices, when you need housing or if you're getting assistance in some sort of way with your rent, lights, and things of that sort, that's where the decisions are. So if you don't vote, then you don't make a decision on those things. And when you don't do the census so that you can be counted, all of those numbers have an effect on where the money goes. And then we can tackle talking to our representatives about, the agendas of where it should go. But you gotta get in the game in order to play it.
How about this? How about we create a homeless housing vote with a bunch of us, just 2,000 homeless housing people, and say, damn it, we're going to be heard. Now, I must commend Reverend Barber and his Moral Mondays move and his Poor People's Campaign.
Mm,
We have to galvanize and come together. Kim James, when we're in our own little circles, we have to come. Do you
Yeah.
think it's important enough for us to come out together and form a coalition to get our voices heard?
Uh, another thing about, but see, it's a big trust issue with the homeless
Mm-hmm.
because now we don't went through. There's so much going on, and you have a lot of groups that reach out, but then there's a side of the shadiness now to the homeless because you can use the homeless as your backdrop, as your crutch to get money, basically.
Hmm.
And so a lot of homeless people in times have, they want to vote. They want to be in it. But there's other organizations out there that have came at them. Like me and my husband hear a lot about a lot of identity theft. A lot of information been taken up from them. They name on stuff. Things have come up. So there's a trust issue there. And there's gonna have to be something done about that trust because homeless people, especially homeless people, like I said, are at different stages. Some homeless people, they just not going. If you're not, they don't see nothing that is being offered to them. They're not gonna make a move, and that's what happened. Like I was telling my husband in the early stages when the county had put out the hotels and all that stuff right there for some homeless individuals and things like that. That was the time that you could really like put some effort more into it. But then like they got the rug snatched from them again because they had to move, and it starts the process all over again with them in terms of
right,
trust.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if we really want to get the homeless to vote, they gotta feel like they can want to feel like we somebody, you're somebody, and also that I can trust you. We trying to work together. But if I find out I give you my, it's a lot of things going on out here that people that's in the inside will never experience. That is going on out here with the homeless because it's a lot of shady dealers. You have to be careful. So
Right,
I'm just saying that that's an issue.
Mm-hmm.
And
right,
what I want to say is, homeless is a stigma that you cannot you could apply to people that don't have a resident or a shelter, but when you get into what homelessness is, you got different levels of homelessness. You got people that really enjoy being homeless. They're not trying not to be homeless. And you got people that want to go to work, just they had the opportunity. You got people with mental issues that have not been dealt with. You have people that went through tragic situations that have
right.
not been dealt with. There's so many different levels, and you can't put them all in one box. You got to find out how to deal with these people on individual levels. And so that's what I'm trying to get
And
to.
then you got some organizations that they go in to get the help. The people on the back trying to hold you down. They trying to hold you back. They're not really offering the service that they say they offer. Instead of helping
Trying to
you,
keep business.
they trying to keep business going. They judging you. They holding you back on certain stuff. I know a few young ladies. They did finally get their housing. But they had the I stressed to them because my face is very big for the women because I try to do my best to present a certain thing to keep it moving, to stay strong, to keep grinding. But that was making it difficult for them. You said that you said that if I do such and such A, B, and C, that this is how I would go about getting my housing. And those young ladies was doing that, and they was having a hard time. They finally did get it, but it's you already struggling. But now I'm trying to really do something to get off the street. Now you making it more difficult on the side because you over here looking at things a certain way. So
Right.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd like to add to that as far as the difficulties. One thing that I know is that, these agencies, these homeless shelters and things like they have lots of homeless and displaced people coming in and out of there. That is a stress of itself. Just
Yes.
to speak on behalf of
Yes.
the workers who are overworked,
Yes.
underpaid, and
Yes.
so it creates a problem for
Yes. I agree. I agree with that.
success in the people. So when you have the management
Yes.
and there are certain things that they're supposed to do, and the funding never makes it down to the bottom.
That's
And when
right.
I say the bottom, I mean the people on the level in the offices that are actually doing the work who really care
Yes.
about
I
people.
agree with that.
So I want to say that part of it. But at the same time, you have people in these agencies who judge the homeless.
Yeah.
And so people, by them judging them, you have social workers who don't, like, in a calculation of a addition problem, you're gonna do it to completion. They're not helping the homeless to completion. You
Right.
Yes.
start out by putting them into the hotels for emergency housing, but the case management is lacking. You're
Yes.
not going the long haul. Like they're saying,
Mhm.
there's some sort of corruption on the top. The money's not making it down to the bottom.
Yes.
Here, as it pertains to this election cycle, um, right here in our neighborhood, there's a campaign office, and in that campaign office, I don't see any local people working in the office. So we as citizens of our own area, we again have to hold people accountable who we have elected. You
Right.
know, Kim and James, you may be two different people. Slide over again, James. Tell Kim to move over to the left. Y'all get on the screen together. Come on. Yeah, there you go. I want to see.
We already ran,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah. There we go. So we have to be about each other's business. You know,
Right.
Right.
the political season creates things. We're really supposed to see our politicians working for us. This is a time where our politicians should be out on the streets dealing with the homeless situation, with the housing situation, because it is election time. And knowing that those people have no job, there's monies that have come down from the DNC to employ people, but the money has been spent someplace else. And
Exactly. Exactly.
Perry, help me
Right.
out on this issue here, man.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right on it. I mean, now we're at a time where every campaign and organization is looking for volunteers. And because now volunteers are a hot commodity, now you have campaigns and organizations trying to lowball people who they say they need their help. And I mean, and this is just the damn lunacy of it.
Mhm.
If you want to make an impact in the community, why would you lowball the people that you say you're trying to help?
Mhm.
Right.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Uh, and so, you're saying on one hand, well, we don't have the volunteers. And then when someone says, well, I got volunteers, on the other hand, then they're going, well, no, I don't have the money for that. So, so we're playing politics before we even get into the race. I mean, before
Right.
we even win office.
And
Right.
when they have the volunteers and there's jobs that come available, the volunteers are not the first people to get it. There's
Exactly.
people coming from the outside getting it. So that's another issue as far as people
Yes.
not trusting. You
Yes.
know, why
Well,
should I
but right,
volunteer?
but here's my point. If you spent, and that's why I asked, did any campaign come out and reach you? Because if you are spending money on get out the vote, then where were we going to get that vote?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody keeps talking about this black vote. So were we trying to still get white women in Weston or in Coral Springs, or where were our volunteers? Where was that get out the
Good
vote
point.
money targeted?
You bring a good point here. Now, I'm gonna read some. I'm gonna read something from this article. It says homeless people are almost more likely to be non-white. So now, maybe that's why they're not looking into the homeless situation, because as this country has exhibited
Definitely.
a distaste for people of color, maybe that they're not going there to try to help. So, but now on the other side of that, Miss Bass, Miss Bush, Miss Corey Bush, she was homeless in Ferguson, Missouri, where we had those riots and where they burned the town out. She rose up through that to become a state representative. So it can be done.
Yes.
Yes, can.
What are we doing about it?
Yeah. Well, I think part of it has to deal with what we envision as leaders. I mean, Bobby, I really don't. I'm a preacher's kid and a,
Yeah.
and a grandkid, but this is the same. I mean, as the Israelites, they wanted Saul, and God said, Saul, of all the folks, Saul. I
Mhm.
mean, and we still have that same mindset. I think when we look for leaders, we look for something other than what we really need.
Mhm.
Right.
And especially in this society now where everything is about having a like and going viral. oh,
Good
I,
point.
I I don't think we have leaders. I just think we got some Negroes out in front.
Hmm.
Mm.
Okay. I'm checking my phone. Several people have texted me saying they're trying to get into the show and they can't get in. Ariel, if you can hear us, can we post a link or something? People are trying. I got 20 texts saying that they're trying to get in and can't get in. So people want to hear and talk about this. Perry, you made an interesting point at the beginning of the show. We were talking how we were going to segue into this when we asked the question as it dealt with voting. In your response, you had and I didn't write the question down that
Yeah.
you were posed.
Well, what has been your response to people that have even attempted to try to engage you about voting? Uh, well, and even before that, Rachel,
Uh-huh.
who I know you've been knocking on doors. Uh, you don't look like somebody that's going to spend a whole lot of time asking for volunteers, but I don't think
Oh,
anybody's been beating down your door trying to volunteer either. So
oh no, no, no.
how
I
has
I
that
ask
been?
for a lot of volunteers. I get lots of volunteers to come help. I joined volunteers. Matter of fact, we got a volunteer opportunity coming up with Florida Rights Restoration on Saturday.
Okay.
So it's like, there's so many people that are volunteer looking to volunteer, but at the same time, you have to have people that are organizers, number one, to coordinate these things. So people's time is important. So people have to make sure, like when they're choosing different people to organize these things, it's like a popularity. It's like just like the popularity was. It's like who's popular. It can't be that. People have to start looking at people for their skills and what they're good about, how they're good.
Mhm.
And so, that's one thing that I like about New Florida Majority. They have a group of people that is like, they don't look at people on this level. And
Right.
it's hard for me to work for lots of agencies because there's too many chiefs,
Yeah.
no Indians, and
Mhm.
things of that sort. And so all of this, it's like everybody, just wants these people just want to be in the limelight. But their paychecks are large, and you know, it's like get on the ground already. Get on the ground to the people. Let's make this work. Let's make people see how important it is that they are important.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Okay. Okay. Um, there was something else um,
The most time you see these people, they're coming knocking on your doors when it's time for them to be elected. We want to
Yeah.
see you before that.
mhm.
Right.
Richard, you said something. You said that there's a bunch of volunteers. You have a group of volunteers. Are they volunteers for the agency or the organization that you're with, or they want to be a pool that people can pull volunteers from?
There's different types of organizations or online sources to go to get volunteers, pull volunteers from college students. Students, high school students, they need volunteer hours. That's where I go for my pool of people. I go to the different neighborhoods, but people work. People have the kids, and in a time of COVID right now, it's hard because the kids are home from school, things of
Mhm.
that sort. So they really want to volunteer, but
Right.
they
But
can't most time because of those restrictions right now. And then even before COVID, you have your kids and your responsibilities, so it's kind of hard.
Right.
Okay. 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 Because people are saying, even our national organizations are saying that they have found the pool of volunteers lacking, and so they want people. So Kim
Right.
and James, I don't know if you want to go knock on some doors like the NAACP or right across the street from them, which is the Joe Biden campaign office. If you know, this is how. And y'all forgive me if I'm wrong.
James and I are
But
pretty active
Right.
out here with
I
these
would go bug hunting.
with the people.
I know they're gonna say something about COVID, so be COVID dressed. With your mask and your gloves, and knock on
Right.
the door and ask what can this is my community. I'm a part of this community. Uh,
Right.
Right.
I'm saying that because I had to do it, you
Hmm.
know, and it's we have we have to begin to question, are you sincere about what you're doing? Well, we need to find out right now before you get any further than where you're going. So I'm just saying, Joe
Right.
Biden campaign office is right down the street in the 1033 building. The NAACP is right across from that. People need volunteers. You got we got four black constitutional offices that can be held by black people. And if we can't go to them as a person of color to present ourselves as an entity to help, then shame on us.
Hmm.
They are for office, you know,
Hmm.
and we need to reach everybody.
Hmm.
We can't afford, Rachel, we can't afford to be left out. You just
No.
came back from dealing with a situation. You don't have to call any names, but people are being put out of their houses. How are you dealing with that psychologically, Rachel?
Well, I mean, in this housing work, lots of people ask, how do I go to the people? I mean, I can't reach everybody. I can't,
Right.
not by
Right. Of
individually.
course not.
Um, if I showed you my inbox, it would be crazy. But how do we get to the people? The thing of it is that I'm going to be honest about this. When the people are sitting in their homes, they wait till the last minute. They cannot wait till last minute. Like you said, when we organize, you got to organize so to be ready for whatever happens. And that is what our people have to start understanding. Don't like it's just like people are just ready just for fun, 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 fun. They can up and go at any moment. But when it comes to things like this, that's going to affect your households, the decisions are going to affect your households. They wait until they get the notice on the door. They're not thinking that it's going to happen to them. You know, they're not thinking that. And people have got to understand that you should hold yourself accountable and be responsible enough to understand, okay, I got to put my time in. I don't care if it's an hour, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it is. Each individual that is registered to vote, that is not registered to vote, who cannot register to vote. I'm talking about the people, you know, who may owe fines and things of that sort and cannot vote.
Yeah.
It's time to get up and just be responsible. A long time ago, we always reached out and helped one another. This is the time to do it. It's time to get out and vote.
Yeah. 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 Speaking of which, I mean, isn't there also the shortage of it's crazy what they call affordable housing, but even the affordable housing, I mean, the shortage of affordable housing here in Broward is going to be even more
Mm.
uh, uh, of an issue if we do not get the right sorts of leaders heading into this year. I mean, because real estate developers aren't our friends.
They're
They're,
not
I
our
mean,
friends, but
we
they're the
already see what
friends.
they're doing to Sistrum.
they're the friends of some politicians.
They're the friends of a lot of politicians who's getting rich behind all these developers while they're leaving all the people on the ground out.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I'm speaking of black politicians. I'm not. I'm when I want to talk about some of these black politicians who just simply have just disregarded the fact that they came from the same streets we came from, and they feel as though it's okay for them to help their families be rich and go to the developers and get what they want for them and their families, but they will not make sure that the people are okay.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Mm-hmm.
put in these positions to help the people. They're supposed to serve the people.
You know, Rachel, why let me read some of the comments that we have, if you could, okay? Uh, uh,
You can,
uh, it says, "Ain't everybody cut out for these jobs? You have to call to do the work," and that comes from Joe Tolliver. Sherry Perry says, "Good point, Rachel. Homeless people need guidance all the way." Um, we got a whole lot of comments coming in here, and I didn't see all this until okay, Daniela Pierre says, "Hey, Rachel Johnson, you are a proud advocate for affordable housing." Okay, so we do have people watching and paying attention, and we need for people who are to take the message back out to where it needs to be. You know, um, I believe, and I'm from the streets, not the streets is a part of me. You know, I know how to walk them. You know, but I also know how to step up on another side. So, but we need to go back and get that we know to bring them along. And I'm still hammering in the fact that the NAACP office right down the street, the 1033 building where Joe Biden campaign is, where we have some black elected officials further down the street. You know, it's time for us to hold those black elected people accountable to us. And that's all of us, Kimberly and James. That's all of us, you know. But it ain't gonna come to you. Don't nothing come to a sleeper but a dream.
exactly.
A man or a woman that don't work won't eat. So if we were to equate our vote with working, then damn it, we got to do it. We got to do it. You know, we can't wait on nobody else. So,
Right. Right. And just it doesn't make you feel any better. But if we looked at millennials, if we looked at uh, those who are at the poverty line, or those who don't live in the right neighborhood, this is endemic across the board of some of our leaders, that they aren't reaching out. They are only, as they say, they're preaching to the choir. And if you're not in that church on that pew,
Hmm.
you're not getting the message and you're not getting the benevolence.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask. Let's go a little further. Um, and I don't want to put anybody on the spot. James, I know I saw you working politically, putting signs out and stuff. I saw that, you know. Um, what is some other thing that you and Kim have done as it pertains to this election process or this census process?
Well, what I try to do, not only during the political season, I try to find out what is going on with the homeless society, on what's causing them the most problem. Is it police harassment or being rejected as not a normal customer, even though your money is the same color and everything, which is a lot of things that black homeless people have to go through. Not only black people, but all homeless people. And I don't. When it comes to dealing with homelessness, I don't try to involve the nationality of the person. I try to make sure that it's in the best interest of every individual, because we're dealing with something that's on a different level than most people see. This is my own belief. If you've never been homeless, it's hard for me to try to really express homelessness to you. You know what I'm saying? Because you never felt that concrete in the cardboard boxes. I can't paint a picture for you for how that feels. So you have to actually take time out of your personal life to go outside while it's raining, lay on the concrete, and be out of your ordinary, and to understand my perspective. So, and I don't wish that upon nobody, but I'm just telling you that I spend more time not doing it during the election season. I feel like I said earlier, if this was a big issue about the homeless vote, this should have been addressed way last summer, and I'm pretty sure we could have got some homeless people to vote in this election, and made them realize how important it is. But not 2 weeks before the election. I think it's a waste of conversation of why now the homeless don't come out to vote when we had an opportunity to put them in a position to vote. We had them in hotels over there in Daniel on the roadway. We had several hotels, 17th Street Causeway.
Yeah.
This was a perfect opportunity
Exactly.
to address this situation, not 2 weeks before the election. I think it's just
Okay.
being baffling about that.
Okay. Let me say this. Joe Tolliver says, "What about volunteer Broward? Anybody know about volunteer Broward? Are they doing anything, Rachel?"
You got your
Yeah.
mute button on.
Put your mic at
She need her mic on.
Your mic is on.
Rachel Johnson.
There
Rachel.
you go.
Okay.
Now
Okay.
you on, Rachel.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah,
Yes.
we got you now.
I am so sorry. Everybody's calling, but listen, Volunteer Broward. I mean, I don't know too much about what they do, but I do see a lot of volunteers going and helping. I mean, I really couldn't tell you too much about Volunteer Broward. Um, I really couldn't.
That's fine. Now, James, you were saying something, but Kim, I want you to deal with this. Okay, you were saying something about we should have addressed this some time ago. Now, if the system is set up as such, if you're homeless, you don't have an address, you don't have a light bill, you don't have a place. They can't say you've been in one area for so long. You don't have voting is not just about bubbling in that little bubble.
No, it's not. It's
No,
not about that.
so
But
there are things that we
for
can do. I'm gonna let you get it,
but
Kim. I'm
see,
gonna give it
for
back to you.
me and James, see, the thing about me and my husband is these, even with this situation, because of the gifts that God gave me, I'm able to be able to navigate for us to be able to do that. And as well as going to an agency and be able to talk officially and be able to deal directly with you. But what my issue is personally for me as a black woman is when I get in there and they hear that I may not be the perception of what you normally would see as a homeless person or a homeless woman. I have to go through a lot of other red tape because now you feel like because you on that side of the table that I shouldn't have the knowledge to be able to be capable enough to be able to talk to you. Listen, that's how we can work together to do this.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I've been I've a couple agencies. I'm not going to mention none by name. I worked with, and I had to go through a lot of stuff, and I had to really show my position of who I was and that I was capable and able to just show you that I could do this. It's just things that have happened, but there's nothing that'll limit me from doing what's necessary to do what I need to do. But if I'm coming to you for help and you already seem like you feel like because I told you my situation, I was honest with you about it, and you feel like you feel a certain way now towards me because well you in that position, you should be able to have the knowledge to be able to do certain things. That's an issue for me.
Mhm.
I've had that happen to me several times. And then when God allowed me to show them I'm able, I have this, my credential meets this right here, then I got some respect, so to speak, after that.
Mhm.
But I had to go through all that when I'm all I was showing you is listen, I'm able to do this. Show me what I need to do. Show me how I got to do this. I prove what I could do. And I showed it and I demonstrated and I was disrespected for it. So essentially.
Okay.
My
And
thing is, I got one thing to say, Bobby. When I was in third grade, when the teacher asked all the students what they wanted to be, then nobody in my class said they wanted to be homeless.
yeah.
I'm talking about they want to be a police officer, fireman, they want to be everything. Never heard nobody say they want to be homeless. It's not a destination, it's not a goal, it's not something that you set out to try to do. It can happen to anybody. You ain't got to be no bad person, no good person. It can happen to anybody.
Mhm.
This is the will of God. It's back gonna be part of our testimony. God probably is just getting us ready for the next level. So
Mhm.
I'm not
Because
mad
as
at
we
nobody.
as we're gonna see in the coming months, because a lot of people, because me and my husband, we out here. And a lot of people, when they got these stimulus checks and stuff, they thought they was gonna be doing certain things. Some people was responsible, some people was not. So in a minute here, we're gonna see a new wave of people that's gonna be out here that's not prepared. Some people sitting by on the side. They like Rachel said, don't that's this notice coming because they don't stop
Mhm.
the limitation on the eviction. So if you didn't do what you're supposed to do, and now you waiting on this, that, and another, you're gonna see a new wave of people out here.
And Kim, you bring up a good point because the article
Right.
says by the end of 2020, there may be more homeless Americans than
Yeah,
there were at
Yes,
yeah.
the end of
yes,
2019.
It's
One,
already started.
yeah,
yes.
one
It's already
estimate,
started. Yes, ma'am. It has.
one estimate indicates massive unemployment as a result of the pandemic,
Yeah,
which
Yes,
can boost homelessness 40 to 45%.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
now what I was saying about the voting is this: if you can't vote or if you choose not to vote, there's other things you can do that influences the vote or helps the
Right.
vote.
right,
Okay,
Right.
there are
Right.
things you can volunteer and do. You can become a
right,
poll worker. You can take pictures of the poll tapes.
Tapes.
You can become a counter at the
Right.
precinct places.
Right.
Those people out there who are constantly waiting signs, that might not be the right thing. Maybe we ought to get people more educated and say, let's begin to count these people who come in here. So
well, I have, Jason, I have, because I have access to computer and stuff. I have helped a lot of people get their information straight, and get their stuff in so they can vote. I did do that part here, and
Good.
there's other
Right.
things that I do in the community. People, because I'm gonna tell you something else, especially with the elderly. There's a lot of stuff they want the elderly to try to remember with voting. You know, they want them. When you elderly, all that stuff is it's a lot of stuff. And if you don't have nobody that's readily there, you know, a grandson or granddaughter or something, that could be an issue. And that's now with all these stipulations. You got to do this. You got to do that. That is something that we got to address because our elderly simply they're not gonna be able to do all those things
Yeah.
like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Right.
so I think that's something
Well,
we need to
but
address as
but you
well.
also raise a good point. Even if they're able to get a ballot,
Yes,
how are they able to know the information?
Read all that stuff, man.
I
it's a
mean,
lot.
do they only? I mean, and I'm asking, do they only select the races that they know and leave the others blank, or what happens? I mean, I don't know if someone would just guess. I mean, voting is too important just to guess,
Mm-hmm.
but you know, what do people go if they don't know what information to fill out on the ballot?
Well, lots of people are making phone calls to people in the public, um, trying to asking them, polling them about them voting and where they need to go, and sending them links and things of that sort. I know New Florida Majority is doing it. Organized Florida, just all types of organizations throughout the state of Florida and around the country is um, polling these people. I think that like Bobby was saying, a one coalition needed to come together because I think that we are going to the same people. Too many organizations are going to the same people, asking them these questions. When if we would have organized it better to reach the people at different places, you know, and so that coalition is really, really needed to. We can still do this and get out to the people, and some of the people need to speak up. For the ones who cannot vote, need to speak up to the ones who can, and to help them to get there. Just like the young lady was saying, it's just so important.
Mm-hmm. You know, if we have long lines of food, we're giving away food. We have lines wrapped around the block. Again, I'm trying to equate voting with eating. You know, because if you don't vote, you're not gonna eat. You go, things gonna happen where our votes should have put stuff in place. You know, so but we have these food lines with cars wrapped around the building. You know, we can do the same thing with the voting process.
Yeah.
If we, well,
Yeah.
help me out, Period. I don't want to go over on the tangent.
I
But,
know, man. It's we've hit our limit, I guess. I don't know.
mhm.
I see Rachel's left. I wasn't sure.
Okay.
Yeah, but I know, Bobby, what you're saying. But if if you don't recognize the value of your vote, that's the issue right there. You can have a quarter in your pocket that say 1929. To you, it might be a quarter. To a court collector, it might be $50,000. You got to realize that a lot of people don't recognize the power of their vote and what it really demonstrates. So you know, so it's very easy for you to commentate on it. But when a person has something that's very valuable and they don't know how valuable it is, they don't know how to treat it as a valuable thing. You
Mhm.
know what I'm
And that's
saying?
why, and that's
And you know you got something valuable, you treat it valuable. But if you got something valuable and that don't you don't know it's valuable,
mhm,
you treat it just like normal stuff,
right.
and that's the
Yeah.
difference.
No.
And that's why I was trying to equate it with food. That's a
Right,
commodity that we all need.
Right.
But James, you're right. If we don't recognize
right.
the value of what we got, we'll give
Yeah.
it.
It's worth nothing. It's worth nothing. You don't recognize the value.
Yeah.
And well, it's good when you tell other people about the value, but sometimes you can tell people the value that they have, and they still will look at it as like, He don't know what he's
Mhm.
talking about. This ain't worth nothing but a
Right.
quarter. I just got through telling you it's
Right.
worth $50,000, but you ain't listening to me. You looking at the quarter. Go right in the store and give it to the man in the store. Fifty
Yeah.
thousand
Right.
dollars. Yeah,
Right.
realize the value, your worth. You got to realize your worth.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
gotta know your worth.
you got to know your worth. Yeah.
Right.
And we all have self worth. We
Yeah,
all
Right.
do.
yeah.
We all
Right.
do. And I guess this brings us to a point of am I my brother's keeper? You
Right,
Exactly.
are we one body?
right,
We're constantly pulling ourselves away from where we need to be.
right.
And
Mhm.
yeah, okay. I guess we run out of time. How we was
Mhm.
It's been good.
It was
I know.
fabulous.
It's been
No,
good.
don't leave yet. No, we're gonna wrap it up right. We're gonna wrap it up the right way.
Okay.
Rachel,
Right.
we're gonna allow you to spend a couple of seconds, 1 second. No, I'm kidding. Uh, Allow you to
Whew, that's gonna be hard.
That's a hard. It's gonna be hard.
bring it home.
Right.
What is it that you want to say to the people who are watching now? Uh, you know,
I just want to say to the people, affordable housing is needed. True affordable housing. Okay. So each and every person, even if you are paying your rent, you have to understand this is a critical time to get out and vote. You have the seniors, you have disabled people, you have 18-year-olds who are voting for the first time. You guys have to make this important. You know your situations that you go through, but if you don't understand that to make those changes and those differences, if you don't think that the vote, I entertained something. I'm gonna say this real quick. Some guy said, "Why should I vote?" But when I pointed out the reasons that he should vote, even though he's been using the system,
Mhm.
he began to see. He said, "You know what? You convinced me to go get that card, and I am going to vote."
mhm.
So you have to look at what you are getting. What are you getting from the system, and what could you get more if you make that vote? Punch
Right.
that
Absolutely.
ticket.
Mhm.
Right.
Okay. Kim?
Yeah.
I think I think it's important. I just think that it's important for them to understand that it is important for you to get out and vote. I agree with that. I just think that we have to go about it a way. We have to go do some things a little differently if we're gonna get the homeless vote and get people out to vote. Period. It's some things that we're gonna have to change about how we're doing, it, especially dealing with the homeless. Because it's sad to hear that only 1 out of 10 do vote. It is
Yeah.
because, but I know from just seeing the dynamic, I know that this is true. What we've all spoken about in terms of voting, but they don't see it like that because when they don't hear nothing about what's going to happen for them or any changes or things that they can actually see, because the vote you should see, but they don't feel that way. So we have to find a way to navigate and do better with that.
And Kim, we're gonna need people who understand that to speak
Yeah,
up. We,
yeah.
we really
Right.
we're gonna need it. We're gonna need to
Yeah,
get together and go
because
down.
I do that. I do sit down and I
Yeah,
do tell them, and I have, like I said, the time that I take every moment, even whatever me and my husband going through, I am still a comforter to other people. So
yeah.
I do what I can do. I have sat down. I go through it with you. I read it. I read the ballot with them. I get online. I do it. God give me the knowledge, so I do that. So if and that has helped. That when they see people care, because there's people out here that's on it, they care about it. They brought their ballots to me and my husband, and they asked us to read it to them, and I read it to them. So,
Right on,
whatever I can do.
right
Amen.
on,
All
right
right.
on.
All right.
I believe
James Miller, you have 2 seconds.
2 seconds. I don't live for 2 seconds. I believe that a police will go along with what the police say. A fireman will go along with what a fireman say. A homeless person, whether it's you might not believe it, homeless people get along pretty good together. Sometimes they listen to each other better than they will you. You can have the suit on, but they listen to the person over here that's homeless because they can relate to them more better and what they're going through than you, because they feel like you don't relate to what they're going through, even though you're out there feeding them and giving them water and all of that. What I want for this country is I want the racial tension to settle down. I need to get a good night's sleep, without worrying about waking up, looking on the news, seeing another black man or black woman get shot dead. Because this bothersome to me, because every time this happens, we lost a soldier in the army, and I feel
We
like I
lost a
lost a
soldier. We
brother.
lost a sister. It's
Yeah,
just
a sister, a
I
brother.
think even that is just wearing down.
It's
It's
wearing down on
wearing
this nation.
down on this nation, and
And it's very important to me.
to hear another hashtag of another child, another black man, another black woman, a child, period, it's wearing down on the nation and wearing down on the people. And then that travels all the way down to the homeless as well.
Right.
Because it's to a point now where you're just seeing people break. Really, literally. So,
Perry?
No, I have. We've been trying to put this show on for a while, and man, this has been just a wonderful show. Hearing James and Kim, and I've had a chance to talk to Rachel.
Rachel, yeah,
beautiful,
beautiful black
And
queen.
man, this is it just lets us know we got more work
Yeah,
to do.
Lots of
Yeah, we
work
got
to
a long
do.
way to go.
Uh,
we do.
you know,
We do.
and uh, I definitely know what it's like to not sleep under a roof at night.
Yeah,
I had that happen to me,
yeah.
and it wasn't too long ago. So
Mhm.
Talking about truth.
and so sometimes life just carries you to a place,
Yeah, you got to keep going.
Right.
and it
Right.
doesn't define you. It doesn't say who you are as a
Right.
person. Uh, but the moment we give up is the moment we've lost
That's
the
All
right.
fight.
right,
That's right.
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 That's
and
not
Right.
gonna happen.
and
That's not gonna
so
happen.
yeah, we just have to have we got to have some leaders who at least understand they got a past and are passionate about their
Yeah,
past.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if I may, I want to say,
Because black folk ain't really been where we are. I mean, you look at the expansion of black folk in the last 50 years now. Some folk hollering about they had money. Negro, I remember when you didn't even have on the same color tennis shoes.
right, right.
So, so we got to get beyond that in our leaders.
Yeah,
I
And,
agree.
and that
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind you dressing good, don't mind you looking good.
right,
But if
right,
you can't roll up your sleeves and get down with the people
right,
That's right.
who knew you when you didn't even have a name or knew your name yourself,
right.
That's
that's
right.
right.
Amen to that. That's true.
then we got to get back to that, and we got to hold them accountable. I can't say anything about them if we're not holding them accountable.
Right.
And
Right.
we've
That's
got to
right.
hold them accountable.
Okay. Ariel, we're Ariel is bringing this show. She's producing this show from Texas. Are you there, Ari?
Yes.
You're on
I
mute.
I am here. Good evening, everyone. This has been such a great conversation. I've learned so much, and we do have a lot of work to do. I think this is the start of us creating a collaboration.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Very good. To all of those who commented, I see Joe
I think that's you,
thank you for
Art.
the education. I don't know who wrote that.
Can't hear.
You
You coming in funny.
okay.
I
Uh,
think Art, that's your mic.
okay. Okay. Good. Okay. Well, Kim and James and Rachel, thank you so very much for taking time out and sharing your stories with us. Kim and James, I have your personal biography that you wrote
Right.
that you guys didn't finish.
Not yet. Not yet.
Not yet.
Story's not
And
over.
Rachel, I know you've been battling some situations that I know of personally
Right.
when it comes to housing and trying to keep people in their housing.
Right.
Unfortunately, sometimes situations present themselves, and when a person is scared, they flee without putting up a fight. So I want to thank God for you for being there to stand in there and fight for them and
Right.
just
Thank you
being
so
a
much.
soldier. Kim and James, don't give up. There's some stuff to do that we're gonna have to
Oh
do.
yeah,
Paris,
we gonna keep fighting. We gonna be.
I appreciate you for all that you do, and to everybody out there that's listening, uh, remember, by the grace of God, there go I. So
Amen.
thanks everybody. I see Sabrina Beeson is that a large percentage of Americans are a paycheck away from being homeless. Great conversation.
Right.
Absolutely, it's a
Thank
true
you.
statement.
Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Absolutely.
So, one body with several movable parts. That's who we are. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
let's act like that. I love y'all, and
Love you too.
Love you too.
Hey,
do it.
Perry,
And
thank you
thanks
very
to
much.
West Side
Nice
Gazette
meeting
too
All
for
you,
this.
Hey,
right.
Lisa,
Miss
Big
Rachel,
All right.
Mama.
thank you.
Thank you,
Much
Bobby.
Bobby.
love, baby.
All righty.
All
All
righty.
right.
Right.
Mhm.
Get on, baby.
Mhm.